easily watch an entire series in a single day.
2 days.
10 hours of television a day. And I didn't even like it.
Do you ever feel guilty after spending an entire weekend binge-watching TV shows? Have you ever considered the impact of this behavior on your overall well-being? In today's society, people can easily and quickly get the TV shows they want to watch through smart devices such as mobile phones, and platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu because of the development of the internet and technology. This makes binge watching has become a common phenomenon. But what exactly is binge watching? Refers to Kashyap said, when you watch a TV show continuously for hours, forgetting about all the other work that you have, it is called binge watching. We can find that the phenomena of the binge watching is very common around us, and even happens to ourselves. People have become consciously or unconsciously dependent on watching TV programs and even become addicted because people can forget the work they need to do and reduce anxiety when watching TV shows. A 2013 survey by Netflix showed that 33% of the respondents viewed binge watching as a socially acceptable behavior. And about 92% of the respondents to the TiVo survey reported that they had binge-watched at some point. This data highlight the universality of binge-watching, and this phenomena really needs our attention. Scientists also conducted research on binge-watching and found that binge-watching has significant effects on mental health and social well-being. People choose binge watching because binge watching can promote dopamine levels in the brain and relieve anxiety and depression symptoms. If this sounds familiar? Yes, this phenomenon is very similar to addiction. In addition, research into the psychological and social effects of binge watching suggest a potentially harmful long-term effects on one's mental health and social well-being. So, in this video, I will talk about the main reasons that people choose binge watching and the main harmful long-term effects of binge watching to one's mental health and social well-being. As the phenomena of binge watching becomes more and more common, we can't help but wonder what causes this phenomena and its generalization. According to clinical psychologist Renee Carr, when we are engaged in pleasurable activities, such as watching TV shows, our brain releases a chemical substance called dopamine. The role of dopamine was classically associated with ability to experience pleasure. So, when we watch TV programs, we will feel pleasure and forget our worries, which will promote the continuation of our behavior and ultimately lead to binge watching. For instance, when people watch a Netflix video, they will feel very happy. Ending this behavior will lead to a decrease in pleasure, and the pressure of life or school will go back to the brain. At this time, people want to regain a sense of pleasure to reduce stress, so they will continue to watch videos. In addition, when people are binge watching, the signal from the brain will tell one's body to continue to do so because of the good feeling, which is very similar to taking drugs. The main reason for our dependence on TV shows and binge watching is actually our dependence on the chemical substance dopamine. And drug use is actually the body's dependence on heroin. Because of the similarities between the two, the activity of binge watching television can be considered as a form of addiction. Another important reason why binge watching has become so common is that technological development allows us to watch TV programs easily and simply through various devices and platforms. With the development of technology, the way of communication between people has also changed, and the way of movies and TV shows is one of them. They have shown the world in a very different way than it has been seen before. We can understand a completely different world by watching TV series or movies. In addition, the advent of mobile phones and computers has also made it very convenient for people to watch TV programs at home. The emergence of platforms such as Netflix also allows people to have a lot of choices, and it is very simple to find videos that meet their interest. These conveniences allow people to watch TV programs with less energy, which promotes the phenomena of binge watching. Binge watching has so many negative impacts on our mental and physical health. Let's hear what Dr. Catherine Lawrence has to say about it.
Screen addiction is a group of behaviors that are negative, some negative outcomes that can happen when we use too much technology during our day. So prolonged use of watching TV, video games, scrolling through social media, all of that use acts kind of like a digital drug for our brain. It releases the dopamine in our brain, and that can negatively impact our impulse control. And there's been studies that show that it actually affects the frontal cortex in much the same way as cocaine can affect our brain. So there's just a pleasure reward cycle that is going to end up causing some negative outcomes for our day-to-day life.
Although binge watching can bring us pleasure, it will cause people to have negative emotions and affect happiness through the control losing of this behavior and conflict with our goals. In the reasons for the formation of binge watching part, dopamine is a very important reason that led to binge watching was mentioned, because the secretion of dopamine will give people a pleasant feeling. So watching a video for a short time can effectively increase the sense of pleasure and reduce anxiety and depression. However, if people watch the video for a long time without control, or even choose to use the way of binge watching to escape the work they have to do, this unhealthy way of watching videos can cause a lot of bad emotions to people. Previous research in the media and entertainment field has shown that the desire to succumb to the media at the expense of other goals or responsibilities often leads to the feeling of guilt. In addition, conflict of goals can also have a long-term impact on life satisfaction. For instance, if people choose binge watching to get a sense of pleasure when binge watching conflicts with schoolwork, which will lead to a sense of guilt for unfinished academic goals after the end of binge watching, and may affect grades and life satisfaction. A survey of game players shows that they will feel regret after a long game behavior, and regret will increase negative emotions. After the negative emotions increase, game players tend to continue playing video games to alleviate this emotion. This phenomena is very similar to binge watching, and it also proves that binge watching can affect emotions and life satisfaction, and affect people's long-term health. In a recent survey of college students, there is a good real-life example to demonstrate that binge watching causes a sense of guilt due to conflict with schoolwork and has a long-term impact on happiness in life. Derek Bockhart is a senior public health student who spends about 20 hours a week watching streaming services or video programs on YouTube.
I spend some time around 20 hours a week watching TV, maybe upwards of 30 hours. Sometimes I feel regret when I realize I could have spent the last 3 hours putting more effort into a paper I was supposed to write. I could have spent the last 3 hours sleeping.
There was a time when Burkhart watched more than 30 to 40 hours a week, which affected his academic performance and mood. He felt the guilt of not completing the learning goals and the impact of poor grades on his happiness in life. In real life, there are many college students like Burkhart. Research shows that 90% of young Americans binge watching on TV or any other devices, while 38% watch them every week. They use binge watching as a form of relaxation to escape strict essays, group projects, and exams. But the things they got are just a moment of joy and a long period of bad emotions. Another important effect that binge watching brings to people is that it reduces people's time and desire to socialize, making people dislike and not good at socializing. Binge viewing is a relatively isolating activity. People tend to be alone when watching TV programs for a long time. A study by the entertainment research company MarketCase shows that 56% of the people prefer to watch TV programs alone, and 98% watch them at home. Not only that, as people become more and more dependent on TV shows, binge watching will occupy most time of people. When eating, people will choose to watch TV programs instead of communicating with others. When friends invited them to a party, they may give up because of the attraction of TV programs. This phenomenon is becoming more and more common in modern society. People are immersed in virtual reality and closed real life, replacing the experience of getting along with friends in real life through the friends plot in TV programs. This leads people to reduce communication with others and reduce social activities. If this phenomenon lasts for a long time, people will be reluctant to socialize, and social skills will be greatly reduced. For instance, Kimberly used to be addicted to TV shows. She can watch Netflix for about 5 hours a day. She found that Netflix took up a lot of her life, reducing her communication with others and even her husband. In addition, she would choose to watch TV shows at home instead of going out. Later, she found that binge watching had a bad influence on her, so she changed it. She found that after reducing the time to watch TV shows, the communication with people increased significantly, which can better prove that binge watching can cause people becoming more antisocial and have long-term effects to people's health. Finally, here are some tips that if you have binge watching issues.
So binge watching TV or using media as a form of distraction is quite normal. In fact, as humans, we're hardwired for pleasure. So in moments of sadness or feeling upset, watching TV and seeking a momentary fix is okay. I think the problem arises when, as you mentioned, we spend a lot of time distracting ourselves from our problems instead of facing them or being with them. So here's a mindful technique that you can try to help with creating a sense of awareness and reclaiming your time. This technique is called RAIN, a mindful acronym that helps us to become aware of how we're feeling and what we're experiencing in a compassionate way. I found it most helpful when navigating difficult and challenging emotions. So the R in RAIN stands for recognize, and this could look like simply becoming aware of what's going on and what's happening in the moment. So when you're experiencing that sense of sadness or maybe you feel upset, taking a moment just to notice, what is it that I'm feeling in this moment? And then try naming that emotion. So in this moment, I'm experiencing sadness. By naming that emotion, we allow ourselves to become fully present with it in the moment. So the A in RAIN stands for allow, which means allowing that emotion or however we're feeling in that moment to unfold as it is. Usually we either want to get rid of the emotion or try our hardest to fix it, when what we can do is just to be with that emotion, maybe place a hand on our heart and just say to ourselves, I notice sadness within me, and it's okay. The I stands for investigate. So getting curious about what it is that you're experiencing, whether it's thoughts, emotions, sensations, and maybe asking yourself, have I experienced this before? Where does this live in my body? And what is this emotion asking of me in this moment? And finally, the N stands for nurture. So offering what's present, a sense of care and compassion. A place to start could be the forgiveness meditation in the app or reciting the loving kindness mantra and doing the self-compassion course.
Thanks for watching the video.